Well, good morning, Alexis.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. You nervous?
I'm not really that the video part of it. I didn't know there was going to be video.
Oh yeah. Well,
Uh,
that's okay.
so,
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, I look awful this
No,
morning.
you don't. No, no, not at all. Well, thank you so much, Alexis, for joining the author's table this morning.
Well, thank you for having me. Should I run in the other room and grab a couple books? Will I be showing books off or
Th-
anything?
That
Or
that is totally up to you, Alexis.
yeah, let me do that.
Sure, sure, absolutely.
All right. It's funny because I
Yeah.
have so many. I have 9 books. My 10th book comes out. Well, I had a terrible family tragedy,
Oh,
so it's um it's probably not going to come out this year because I haven't mentally been able to get back to it.
okay.
But
Okay. Well, I'm glad that you're back and you got your books. So now let's start with. Now, did you always want to be a writer, Alexis?
it's funny, and I talk about this a lot. I've done a lot of interviews, and I always say I've wanted to do 1,000 things, okay, in
Yes.
my
Yeah.
life, and I wanted to be a photojournalist, and then I wanted to be a big time author. Most of the things I wanted to do, I wanted to be a public speaker, which I'm working on right now.
Oh,
I'm
good for
actually,
you.
yeah, I'm actually working on that, and I mean, it's amazing. There's a lot of things I always wanted to do, and in some way, I fulfilled every one of them. Every dream I ever had, and in journalism and writing books was on it.
Oh,
So
that's fantastic. You know, the thing is, you don't have to sit there and just focus on the one thing. You know,
no,
and
no, you
it's all
don't.
encompass the whole arena. That's awesome. I think.
I tell people I've done some type of version of every dream I've had. I wanted to be like this huge foreign language interpreter for ambassadors. So when I was a kid, I begged and begged my mom to let me take language classes, and she was like, "It's too expensive. You're not
Oh,
going to do it." And so I didn't get to do it. But then later down the road, I did Duolingo for 2 years straight, and I went over to Africa and volunteered in a language academy
oh,
and ended
great.
up translating French to English. I was like, well, see,
That's right.
it's people don't realize they're living a version of their dreams,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and that's kind of how it is.
Yeah, you just have to find tap into that. You know, because
Yeah,
God gives everybody that gift. But it's just that you just have to find it.
exactly. I think the biggest thing is people don't realize. I'm sorry, I'm just going to turn off this noise in the background. Um, People don't realize, you have to be grateful for whatever version of your truth that you have. I was on TV in Phoenix Springs, Florida, which is that blink town, and I was on TV there as a weekly guest host every Wednesday for 2 years until they sold the TV station. And I was like, I said I wanted to be at one point in time. I really wanted to be an anchor or something. I was like, look at that, I did
Yes,
a portion. I mean,
that's
people just
right.
have to be grateful that they're following their dreams.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well said. Now, what actually motivated you to be a writer, though? What was your main?
Oh, this is hilarious. When I was 22, I'm going to say, so like 30 years ago, my husband was in the Navy,
Mm-hmm.
and we were moving because he was getting out of the Navy. We were moving to Colorado from Hawaii.
Okay.
Drove down. Yeah, I drove down to Colorado. When I got there, I was, trying to find a place and everything. I had this typewriter and I'm typing out this book on a typewriter, get you. And when I finished the book, it was right when he got out of the Navy, and I was like super excited. And so I sent out hundreds of query letters, hundreds of them. Not one response, not even a no. I was
Oh,
like, well, so I shoved it in this old leather briefcase, and it was in there, get this, for 25 years.
oh my gosh.
And here we are. We're on a boat in Florida because we lived on a sailboat. And at the time, we had just come back from, I think, Europe or something. And so a friend of ours asked us to stay on the boat and help him with his engine work and stuff. So my husband's there for 3 weeks. And I was like, well, what am I going to do with my time? And so I went up to the marina and I was like, oh, look, they have free books. Most marinas do. You know, they have free books like RV parks. There's a library for people to trade books and stuff. Anyway, so I grab a book and I'm reading along and I read this whole book. It was a romance novel. And I was like, this was the most dreadful book I've ever read. And thankfully, I don't remember the name of it because I would blurt it out. I'm just so terrible. And so, but I read that and the ending was just dreadful. And I thought, you know, that book I wrote 20 years ago was so much better than this. And so I ring up my son and I said, Michael, do you still have that book? Or that briefcase. And he's like, yeah, mom, it's in my storage stuff out in my shed. I was like, okay, I'm only a couple hours away. I'm gonna come and get it. So I went down and I got this, I got that book. I brought it back. And while the guys worked on the boat for 3 weeks, I literally revamped the whole book. I
What?
did. I sat there and I revamped the whole book. And it was so different from times now. You know, that
Oh,
was like
sure.
back computers were just starting out. And
Exactly. Yes.
I was like, oh my gosh, I have to totally. So it is probably my favorite ending. It's a steamy romance with a murder mystery twist.
There you go.
It's probably my favorite ending, but it's not my main subject matter. So it was my first book, and I've sold quite a few, so I'm happy with that.
It
And
makes you feel good just the fact that you went back and redid it.
yes,
You know.
yes, exactly, exactly.
Now, what kind of research did you do, Alexis, for like becoming a self-publisher or having a publisher?
Well, I'm a self-published author, and you know, I just read everything I could. I
Hmm.
read everything I could on Google. I joined a bunch of author clubs. I mean, everything else. I read everything in KDP. You
Okay.
know, that was the big thing about formatting and I mean all that. And of course, this was probably, gosh, like 8 years ago. I think is when I published the 6 years, whatever it was when we published the first one. And my husband was sitting there with me, like, because he's super smart as far as figuring out computers and everything. So, you know, he was like sitting there and I would give him I was like, "Do you understand what this means?" And he's like, "Hold on." And he would stop what he was doing on the boat for a half an hour and help me out. And he would look at everything. And he's like, "Oh, okay. Well, this is what we have to do to format the book." I mean, since then, I have had it professionally edited and
Yes.
professionally formatted. But back then, it was like, okay, we're just going to try this out. And it was so funny. I remember the day that I and my husband and I uploaded it onto Amazon, and then finally it got approved. It was like 3 days or something. It takes less time now.
Right. Yeah.
It's like 3 days, and I get this email, and I'm like, "Oh my god, I'm a published author!" I'm like freaking.
Yeah.
I'm calling everybody I know. I have a book. It was the craziest thing. And now I'm book 10 was going to come out this year, but it's the book 10 is the sequel to this one. I don't know if you can see that, but it's
Up.
Jump Before You
Just
Fall.
just raise it a touch.
Okay,
Okay. There you go. Okay.
so this book right here, Jump Before You Fall, was I don't even know it. I a couple books back, but I did it last year. It's a short story about my husband and I moving onto a sailboat, and kind of everything. It's very motivational, but it's also like
Yeah.
the terrible things that happen when you're living on a boat,
Yeah.
and so my 10th book is actually the sequel to that
Okay.
one.
We won't get
And,
into that yet.
huh?
We won't get into that yet.
Okay.
Okay. Now you have a 3-book famous adventure series.
Actually, 4 book. The fourth came out
Yes.
August 9th.
And that's called Finding Famous: A Mystical Journey, and then Famous Destiny, The
Mm-hmm.
Monster in the Forest, and A Famous Christmas Memory, The Pumpkin Bread Recipe Fiasco. And what I like about that too, Alexis, is that you actually sell that as a 3-book series, a
Yes,
combo, and that's what's really cool too, because people can buy the set or individually.
exactly.
That's a nice approach. Can you talk a little bit about those, please?
Absolutely. Famous is my girl. You know, everybody thought I've had so many people say, "Oh, Famous is a ridiculous name for a person." And I'm like, "Really? There's people out there named Saturday."
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, really.
and a lot of it is because the way I started the book, I wanted to be kind of comical about it. And she's like Yes, my name is famous for the thousandth time. No, I'm not famous for anything. So she's kind of got that spunky, sparky attitude. But it's about this girl, and this says, I don't know if you can see that.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the first one,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the second one,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
and this is the third. I don't have any of the fourth. I haven't gotten any copies yet, and that's the fourth one.
Okay.
Um, anyway, so famous is this girl who follows her mom's path to where her mom found her. Okay, so she goes on this crazy mad adventure, and I've been everywhere she goes except for one place. And there's a lot of stories, like there's a ghost story in a hotel. All these stories that I tell in the book are stories that are like fables from those countries. And I kind of tried to incorporate some good folklore from
Sure.
different countries I've been to into my book, even though it is definitely not a real story or a real life. It's
That's
not an autobiography. It's
right.
still got some, real
People like
story.
that though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She embarks on this crazy journey to find out where her mom found her, because her mom literally found her. And well, her mom went on a quest, and her mom, it's a great story, but the one that just came out August 9th is Before Finding Famous,
Okay.
which is what leads her mom on the path to find her. So I don't know if there's going to be a fifth yet. I do have, I think I have like 3 or 4 famous stories that I've written like up to 50 pages
No,
on, that I'm like,
the
uh,
wheels are turning. I see
right.
them.
Well, it's like it doesn't fit in the story right now, so I'd move backwards.
Yeah.
So
Hey, that's okay.
we'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see.
Yes. Now let's talk about From Money to Murder.
From Money to Murder, that is
Yes.
my first book. That's the first book I wrote, and that is Vanessa. She starts this new job, and she's supposed to be head of research, and she ends up having to go to New York with her boss, and everything bad happens. Everything. Their luggage is lost. Her luggage
Oh.
is lost. She ends up having to stay in the same suite as her boss, and because of all the fiasco, and you'll find out why in the end, but it's just madness and mayhem, and they're being chased, and somebody's murdering people and embezzling money. It's
Oh,
just like a roller coaster of a ride, but it's a short read. It's like 210 pages or something.
that's a
Maybe
pretty
it's,
good read though.
actually it's 200. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
between 200 and 250 pages, but it's a lot of fun. My best friend calls it a beach read.
Oh.
She's like, it's a beach read. It's a book you go to the beach and just lie back and read because it's fun and it's
Yeah.
adventurous. So it does have a good murder mystery twist. I love how I ended that book. That is
Oh.
my favorite ending of every book I've done.
Oh, that's good. Now you have another book you wrote. It's called, well, it's FFS, Sake
That
Rant Journal.
Yeah, it's a rant journal. Okay,
Yes.
so I have 2 journals out, rant journal and a positive energy journal, and they're both similar. So one of them, the rant journal, it gives you 50 topics to complain about. So I journal every day. Okay, so these are just journals. I journal every day, but when I first started journaling, I remember being like, what do I write about? What kind of things do I write about myself in this? Do I write about my day? Am I just like writing down what I did today? And so what I did with these is I went ahead and gave 50 different topics to complain about, literally, like jury duty, traffic, prices of gas. I gave 50 different ideas. And the reason why is this way you're not looking for something. And by the time you finish filling in your perspective on each of these topics, now you're journaling.
Yes.
You're writing
Yes.
about yourself about these topics. So it's kind of a beginning way to start journaling. And
So can
so
the reader actually just write in the book too? Then just
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I didn't grab one of those, but I
oh,
could certainly. I'll grab one real quick.
sure. Okay. Now this should be fun. When you read each topic, you can write down your own notes, and I think that's a good rule of thumb to have.
Okay, so this is what it looks like. And on the
Uh,
inside, it has,
okay, very good. Yes.
yeah,
Yep.
so it has 50 different topics to rant about. And then there's the other one, and as you see at the top, it says to BI.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's cool though. You make it fun too.
yeah, for me, I put it in satire, but for me, it was like some days I know when I'm writing in my journal, I'm writing about something that really annoyed me or something that really made me happy.
Yes. Yes.
And so I kind of, I kind of like, you know what, I'm going to do this because I had so many people ask me, well, what do you write about when you journal? And I'm like, oh, various things. They're like, well, I just wish I could think about, what to write about. And so I was like, you know what, this is and I sell a lot of the positive energy journal. That is,
Yeah.
I sell books in Kroger a lot.
Oh, you do?
Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I haven't, as I said, I had a personal tragedy and I haven't had, the last 2 months, I literally haven't done anything, to be
Okay.
completely
But
honest.
but
Well, 6 weeks.
but you know that the happiness journal though that I think so many people can relate to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah, it is my top seller in Kroger. I sell that one and Finding Famous. Now, I only have 5 of my books in Kroger right now. Obviously, and they actually aren't physically in the store unless I'm in the store,
okay.
because Kroger, the way they look at it, I have a contract. There's 120 Krogers here in the Houston area. The way they look at it is if they're gonna have the author there, there's going to be more sales.
Gotcha. Yes. Yes.
Most people, when they go to a grocery store, they're not thinking about buying a book. It's not in their mind, you
Now,
know.
are your books like in the book section or are they like by the counter?
Well, actually, I end up going there and I set up in a table,
Oh, okay.
and yeah, so yeah. But it's like I said, it's not. It's totally up to me. I have
Sure.
to schedule with my director. I haven't been to a store in 2 months, so.
Hmm. Now, your happiness journal, is that like this sort of the same principle as the other journal?
Yeah, it's exactly the same. It's
Okay.
exactly the same.
Okay.
But
Very
it's
good.
called Positive Energy.
Okay. Now, your next book is a motivational and it's called Jump Before You Fall. Let's talk
Yeah.
about that one.
Okay, so this is kind of what I do a lot of my speaking on. I do some speeches and stuff like that, and it's basically, it looks like this.
Hmm.
So it's about my husband and I moving on a boat. So, and I can honestly tell you, it was the greatest thing we ever did. But people don't realize all the things that you own. If you can't walk away from it, it owns you.
That's correct. Yes.
And you really find that out when you're moving on a boat. It's very motivational. In my speech, I always say, "Can you do it?" Those 4 words changed my life.
And you can do it.
Exactly. Well, we were doing this regatta. We do sailing a lot, and we were on our 6th year of Dallas Race Week. And we were with some friends, and the after party, there was 100 of us there. And we were, of course, my husband and I were the same every time. We're gonna buy a boat and sail around the world, and we're all like, we every year, same thing. And our friend Bill comes up and he goes, well, can you do it? We're like, can we do what?
Hmm.
Well, if the right boat came tomorrow, could you do it? And we're like, well, we could buy a boat, yeah. But at some point in time, we'd want to keep eating and we don't have enough residual income, you know? And he's like, but can you do it? And I was like, so the night goes on and he says, so what do you think? Can you do it? And I was like, Vince is my husband, by the way. He says, Bill, yeah, we could buy a boat, but we would run out of money in 2 or 3 years. And
Hmm.
he's like, so you guys both have mad crazy skills. You're telling me that you couldn't find a job, you guys couldn't work along the way, you couldn't. And we're like, well, I guess we could. And he says, listen, because of medical problems, family problems, my business, everything else, I put it off. He said, you guys are almost 40, your kids are gone, can you do it?
Mm-hmm.
And within 3 weeks, I was selling off every single thing I owned. Everything we owned. We were like, that's it. We're going to do it. We did. We sold off everything. We kept, I think we kept my husband's truck at his parents' place and my scooter. And then that was it. We were like, no, if we can't walk away from it, then it's stupid. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so we got rid of everything. We had a small amount of all the photo albums and all that stuff, which I eventually put onto hard drives
Mm-hmm.
and gave to the children. So, I mean, there was all this steps that took place, but we lived on the boat for 7 years.
Wow.
My husband, my husband got cancer, and he went to we had to take him to Houston. He was in the hospital for 29 days. Thank you, he's okay. But I was at the hospital with him for 29 days. I did not leave the hospital because he was in Houston and our
Mm-hmm.
boat was in St. Thomas. So when he came out of the hospital, he weighed 130 pounds. He's nearly 6 foot tall.
Oh my gosh.
Thank God for the VA hospital here in Houston. I will say that. He I had to send him to his parents because he wasn't well strong enough. But I had to fly back. I had to fly back to the St. Thomas and sell off everything we owned. I had an upholstery business that I ran from my boat because the charter companies. I'm an amazing seamstress slash upholsterer, and so
You're
I
just an
sell.
amazing person altogether, Alexis. Yes.
Well, thank you.
Of
So
course.
I had
Absolutely.
to I had to sell everything off, but Jump Before You Fall is all about our mindset, and it's very motivational story about us moving on to the boat. Now, see, the next book that comes out, Dive into the Deep, is about that whole, my 90 days of hell, where my two dad died, my dad and my stepdad, and
Mm.
to I couldn't go back to either family because my husband's sick with cancer.
Right.
And
Oh
at the
boy.
same time, I'm having to fly back and be on my own and sell off every single thing I own and sell our boat and make that move back to the United States, which I didn't want to do, but my husband.
Sure.
So
It's
yeah.
we all go through events in our lives, and when you look back at it, it's like, how in the world did I get through that? But you did.
This recent one, on September 8th, my son was murdered in Cocoa, Florida. He's
Oh my
32 years
gosh.
old. He was 32 years old. He was my baby. I'm actually able to say it out loud now without breaking completely down. I do break down almost every day, but um, I don't know anything. I don't know anything. It's still up in investigation. I don't even know how my son died.
Oh boy.
So, yeah, so I've been pretty much like a dead person the last 6 weeks. I
Oh.
Yeah, I haven't done anything. I'm a student at NYU online, and I'm in my journalism course. I have 5 classes left to go, and I'm just barely walking through life. So
Hmm.
personal tragedies. I can tell you about them. This honestly, I think that we when we lose someone we love, it's such, and I'm going to write about this. When we lose someone we love, it's everybody's kind of different. They all
Yes.
grieve different. But I've lost both my dad and my stepdad, and my stepmom, and I mean I've lost so many people, and to me it was either unexpected or like my brother had committed suicide 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and everything else. But until someone is murdered and just ripped out of your life at the youth, and there you don't understand
Mm.
any. Yeah, that
No.
it's a change. It's
Yes.
different than an accident. Anyway, back to what we were. But sorry for bringing you
No,
down.
no, 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 no. That's okay. No. Now let's talk about what's for dinner.
What's for dinner? Okay, so this is kind of funny. I'm kind of trying to get into a couple of grocery stores, and so I've sent out quite some letters and stuff. A friend of mine that did some other books, she wrote like a recipe book and had pictures of their products in it. So it's kind of trying a different angle of being an author. I always trying to mix it up. And so one day I was just like, you know what? I should try that. I should try writing a recipe book for a grocery store. So I did. I sat down and I literally did that book in 8 hours, right? Wrote did the whole thing in 8 hours. And then, of course, the formatting and all the other
Sure.
stuff comes in. But I did that. And then so once I published it, right now I'm working with this possible store. I'm not going to say a name, but
That's awesome.
now, yeah, so I published it so they could see the recipes and see everything. Now I'm working on the photos. It's just a small, like 30-page book, well, 45-page book now.
But
But
it's a big thing though.
yeah, but my husband loved it. The first like we always argued about what's for dinner. Always. And I talk about it. I talk about that at the beginning of the book. What's that nagging question? What's for dinner? The
Yep.
kids are always, what's for dinner? So for the first, like, I want to say maybe 6 months, twice a week, he would open the book up to any random page and he's like, look, we're going to have page 17. And I was like, I thought that was so funny. And so it's kind of a running thing with us still. Every now and then when I say what's for dinner, he'll go grab the book and he'll be like, okay. And he'll randomly open it. He was like, this is what we're having for dinner.
That
So it's kind of just
that's like in every household though. Well, what's for dinner?
yeah,
That's
exactly.
everywhere. Yeah, that's awesome though. And you took that and you ran with it, and I think that's great because everybody can relate to that.
Well, and that's the thing. I'm always doing something different. I will never be a rich author, but I will always be an individual. I mean, so many authors kind of write in they'll maybe two genres, or three genres, but most of them kind of focus on that one genre. I'm like all over the board.
Uh, just remember, Alexis, though, you're rich at heart.
Well, that's true. That is true. I'm very fortunate.
Yeah, that's
I am very
correct.
fortunate. I've been to
Yes.
20 some odd countries volunteering, which my husband and I lived out of a backpack after he lost his colon and 2 bouts of chemo, and now he's healthy as can be. We started volunteering and we volunteered through 20 countries, but we literally only had a backpack. That was all we owned, and so we were essentially homeless,
Mm.
and but by choice. I'm not downplaying the plight of the homeless. My son was homeless. He lost everything in the pandemic, and that's no matter how much you beg and plead, they want to still stand on their own. Um, but my next set of books, it's going to be like 20 books, and it's going to be called High Class Homeless.
Mm.
And basically like high class homeless, Prague high class homeless, France high class homeless, etc. So it's just going to be a whole series, and I'm already writing them. I've already got the domain name High Class Homeless.
Wow.
So I'm on the path.
That's right.
But
Are your books? They're all in like ebooks too.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Now,
All of my books are ebooks. All of them are available on Amazon. Most of them I put on Ingram Spark, so you can buy like barnesandnoble.com. Some of them, the ones that are on Kindle Unlimited, aren't.
okay,
Uh,
sure.
but I did put the 3-book set on sale, I think, for 99 cents this last week. So it's got Finding Famous, Famous Destiny, and A Famous Christmas. So it's got all 3 of them for 99 cents, I believe, is
Nice.
what I put on it. Yeah, it's I just brought the 4th book out on August 9th. So it was kind of my way of hoping.
Yes. Now, are they like PDF format for the ebooks, or what format do you use?
Well, I have them in PDF and I have them in EPUB and
Okay.
yeah, so Mobi, all of them. But
Nice.
are but they're on Kindle Unlimited. So, if you have a Kindle app, you have the Kindle app on your phone, you literally can go on there. If you're in Kindle Unlimited, you can read them all 3 for free. You can read the 3-book set free. So,
That's
and
awesome.
the thing about a lot of people don't understand, like, I didn't use Kindle Unlimited for the longest time, and Finding Famous and Famous Destiny and For Money to Murder are all available in all these other places like Barnes and Noble and etc.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't put them on Kindle. I can't put the ebook on Kindle Unlimited. But
Because you
I,
also have, yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I did put the 3 book set together as one book and put that on Kindle Unlimited.
Nice.
Because people get paid per page, per read page, So, I mean, a lot of people are more apt to read something on Kindle Unlimited where they don't pay for it.
Right. Now, you also have them in audio format too, correct?
I do have 4 of my books on audio. I have Jump Before You Fall. I have Finding Famous, Famous Destiny, and From Money to Murder. So
Now,
I have 4 books on Audible.
now, how did you go about doing that, Alexis, with the audio format? I'm not familiar.
Okay, so yeah, it's kind of easy at first. It's daunting, but it's kind of easy. You go on to ACX, which is also part of Amazon's, Author Central type of thing. You go on to acx.com and you put all your information in. You'll upload like the first chapter and you'll ask for auditions. And now you can say something like royalty share only, so that means that you're not going to pay them to produce your book. Um,
Hmm.
or you can do royalty share plus, which means you're going to pay them a small dollar amount, well, a dollar amount. It could be $100 an hour. Some of these people charge, if you want to pay for the whole production, and not share any royalties, you're going to pay upwards of $500 an hour to
Hmm.
read. And a lot of times it's considered like that's finished product hour. Okay, so like if it takes your book 7 hours to be listened to, then you're going to pay $3,500. You see,
Wow.
but what I did was I did royalty share plus, so I did pay a few $100s. It wasn't nowhere near that $3,500 mark. I did pay, I think for all of them, I paid like a small amount because I felt like and plus I share royalties with them. If I had done I felt like, I wouldn't want to do a job, you know, and not know the quality or whatever, not know how the author is going to advertise or
Right.
market, you
Hmm.
know. I mean, they spend hours, not only editing and clipping together and formatting. And some of them I'm okay with. Obviously, I didn't get the best. And I've had a few people say, I didn't really like your narrator or whatever. And so I may down the road redo it, but I don't sell enough copies at this point
Right.
for it to make it worth me paying somebody a higher price.
Right.
So
Now, what advice can you give to someone that's just starting out in the field?
get thick skin. Get
Hmm.
thick skin. And you know what? Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to ask. There are authors now. I just had a gal that was on my Facebook page and she did an ARC request. I guess she did it on TikTok or Facebook. She had 6,000 requests for ARC. And so she went ahead, she just did it. And she got like, and this was, she told me the story recently, but I guess it was a year ago that she did it. And she ended up getting 100 and some odd reviews on Goodreads / Amazon, whatever, because it went viral.
Wow.
The 6,000, yeah, it went viral. And now she's into 6 figures. Well, good for her. Yeah, I'm into 6 figures too. If you count $1.93. Oh, there's 3 figures right there.
Yeah.
But so I would honestly say don't be afraid to ask. I mean, I asked her on Facebook, can you tell me a little bit more how you asked the people or what was your following like, etc. She never responded. So it's not that people are always going to be responding to you.
Right.
But you know what? You just keep asking until somebody does.
That's
You
right.
know, you
Yeah.
just keep asking until somebody does.
Just keep.
Don't waste your money until on a marketing platform and until you know it works, because there are a million marketers out there, from every country in the world that are literally going to tell you they are the best.
That's right. That's
And
right.
they're going to be happy to take your 30, 50, 500, 1,200, whatever amount of dollars. And guess what?
Hmm. That's
You're going to
right.
get very little, if anything, out of it. Um, do research. research, because and then ask every store if you're willing to pay for 30 of your books. Ask every store that you go into if you can set up a table. Go to the libraries. If you have a book that you're comfortable, or high school would be comfortable, give them to high schools. I have given away hundreds of books. um, and for me, I feel like, if you want to be out there, you got to be out there.
That's right.
You
That's
know,
right.
you got to be bold, because if you're not, if you don't do the work and you're not bold and you don't just keep knocking on doors and pounding on doors, then don't do it. Don't waste your time unless you want to write the book for you, because it's hard to be an author. 100%, not gonna lie.
I agree.
There are months now that I make, $1,000. There are months now I make $100. It depends on my effort.
That's right.
100%.
Yeah,
You know,
it's like going for a job. The old days where you used to send out your resumes and stuff, by mail, and used to go door to door. I mean, if you want a job, that's what you got to do.
well, look
Yeah,
at Stephen King. Now this story was told to me, and I find it to be amazing. I was told Stephen King, when he first started out, he bought like 500 of his books or something, and he put them in his trunk, and he drove to like every store asking them to buy a few copies. Now I'm not 100% sure that's true, but it seems pretty
yes,
realistic to me, because that's what you have to do when you're an author.
that's right.
You have to keep stopping and saying, "Hey, can you buy 3 of my books for $5 each?" You
Well,
know.
even the thing too, and even if you don't sell them, the fact is that you're putting them out there, so
Yep.
people can see them. You
I
know,
have donated. I think I've donated. Well, my daughter's a teacher, and she's a special ed teacher. She's going for a doctorate right now, and she's got too many degrees to count. But she's taught a bunch of schools here in Texas, and so every school she goes to, she's like, "Mom, I need some books for the library," And then it got to be where I actually had other librarians in the area. She's like, "Can you donate 2 books?" I'm like, "Sure," and I would donate Finding Famous and Famous Destiny. I haven't donated the third because it just came out last November. So I have, I'm hoping this year I'll actually, because it's a Christmas story, you
sure,
know, and I don't know if you know how it works out with the Christmas story. It's in the line of the books, but it's kind of a special edition. So her and her cousin are trekking through the forest, and it's snowing, and all these things are happening, but all the way, because they didn't know each other at first. Again, her mom found her. So they just met, and they're talking about their famous Christmas memory, like their best Christmas memory. And she starts to tell this story about this year that her and her mom every year would bake goods for like shelters and um hospitals and all that kind of stuff. And they would even do some breads and stuff for little retail shops to sell. And this year was a bumper crop of pumpkins, right? So everybody, all the women are like, "Oh, we have loads of pumpkins." So people are bringing them pumpkins. So they have all this pumpkins, on it's piled high on their porch, and they're like, "Oh my gosh," her mom says, "Well, I think we're going to just do pumpkin bread this year. We won't bake anything else." And she's like, "I'll get my recipe." And she can't find the recipe. And this is like her most famous pumpkin bread recipe. And it's just, she's looking everywhere. So she's telling her this story as all these other events are happening. They fall down a hole. Just all these other
that's
events are
awesome.
happening. So it's a really fun story, and so hopefully I'll sell a bunch of those this Christmas. But I don't know, because I haven't willed myself to really leave the house
Oh,
that much. So
you
we'll
know, you,
see. We'll see.
yeah, you can definitely promote that for the holidays. There's no question. A little stocking stuffer type of thing, and even just doing ads. I create a lot of ads too. So
Ah, you're back. Yeah, you kind of froze up
yeah,
for a second.
yeah, yeah. A frozen time, but we're back. Yeah, but
So
yeah, yeah. I do a lot of ads too, and that's how I promote my stuff.
okay, okay.
Yeah, I do a lot of ads for like let's either for like well any time of the year really, but definitely during the holidays.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, I definitely create a lot of ads and a lot of promos and a lot of that kind of stuff. And but yeah, it's fun. So um, now now you have a website too, right, Alexis?
I do, and I just changed it. So it's not perfect right now. I just changed it off of Shopify. Shopify was charging me, like $50 every month, and I just felt like it wasn't really worth it, to be honest. So I just built a new one. It's still same, Alexis Anicque.com. Um, but I just built a new one, and it just right now, it just, you click on it and it takes you right to my Amazon Central
Mm-hmm.
portal. Until I go ahead and finish building it out. I just got tired of spending that $50 a month when I wasn't promoting anything. So
Sure, sure.
yeah, so I kind of put everything on. I did this last 6 weeks. It's been just like ridiculous. I
Well,
really need to snap out of it. I mean, I'm behind
well,
on all my homework. I'm behind on everything, and
because
I just
I was going to ask you if you have any events coming up though with the holidays, but I know with you have yeah.
yeah, no, I canceled. I pretty much, I didn't cancel everything, but like I was supposed to go to Ireland to the International Writers Conference,
Mm-hmm.
um, and in Dublin, and I didn't go. I was supposed to do a lot of stuff, and I've just kind of not done those things, and I will eventually get back into it.
Yeah.
I've got to go to Albuquerque in a week or two. My niece is getting married, so she's basically my third child.
Oh.
So I'm gonna make that journey,
Yeah.
and but other than that, I really just I hadn't done anything since
Well,
September 8th.
well,
I just
you had other reasons not to, so and that's understandable. So, well, Alexis, I thank you so very much
Oh, it was
for
such a pleasure talking to you.
you too, and I wish you the very best, and I know that things are going to get better and turn around, and you're going to go full speed. So,
I will. I will. The Great American Speak Off is coming up, and I actually have an audition with them on December 9th. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to bring my best. So I'm getting myself kind of pumped back up.
yes, awesome.
I'm working on it.
That's
So
good. That's awesome. Again, thank you so much, Alexis, and I wish you the very best. And please keep in touch.
thank you. You too. It was
Thank you.
lovely meeting
Thank you
you.
so
Bye
much, and you
bye.
have a wonderful day. Okay,
You
bye
too.
bye.